Random thought.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need our money back because we were all set for the trial of the century and then just kind of fizzled out. Where do I get my refund?
Oh. Well, once you stop talking about freak-offs and sex, I was bored. we were bored after that.
Touche. No arguments on this. Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Yonni Terryl.
And I'm just Terrell. You ever been out somewhere and overheard two people having crazy conversations?
Yeah, well, we are those people. We've been having these conversations since college.
Yep, it's the Regular Guys Random Thoughts podcast. Random Thoughts, episode 16. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, and leave a review.
You know, it started off with a bang, right? This the trial, the Sean Puffy Combs Diddy trial, and of course the internet lawyers came out really early with everything they had to say, and all the internet jury members and internet judges, they all knew the law immediately and knew this is this and this is that and no, and it was so much chatter on it in the first couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And it feels like after Cassie left the stand, everybody went, so life. Am I wrong, or is this just what happened?
No, because when Cassie was on the stand, it was very interesting testimony that she was given, where we're getting an idea of just how freaky Puff is. Right. And the whole time I'm watching that and I'm thinking, okay, where's the Rico part though? And the defense did a good job of showing where Cassie seemed she was into this stuff and she wasn't held hostage. So the whole time I'm thinking, where's this whole Rico case coming from? Because I just see an abuser and someone that's a control freak. You know? Now, I don't like anything that he did. I don't condone anything that he did to those women. I think it's ridiculous. But the prosecution's job was to provide enough evidence where the jury could go without reasonable doubt, we believe he did it. Right. And they failed at that.
Well, here's the thing. I think the most disappointing part of this to me, and you saw it coming, really boiling up during Cassie's testimony, right? And it's the victim blaming. And you ever wonder why they're like, well, why didn't they come forward? That's why. Because too many people were trying to victim blame, right? And it's the same thing with politics. When you have extreme one side, extreme the other. Believe all women. No, some of them lie. But you also don't blame the victim. You can't blame the victim.
Right.
Because as somewhere in the middle is the truth. And the truth for me was what I saw in that video, right? And at the end of the day, all I saw in the video was enough that in my mind, it's not what the case was about, though.
Right.
So I may have my own judgment based on the video that I saw, because I saw somebody very comfortable, not worried about anybody coming down the hall because I'm invincible. I can do whatever I want. And it's not the first time. This is not our first rodeo. Yeah, her defensive positions were amazing. They're UFC fighters who haven't gotten to that level yet to block the way she did. Why? Because it's not the first time. And that's the scary part. And the scary part is watching somebody knowing they did wrong, get off and go, I'm untouchable again.
Well, 100%. But I think that and this is all my assumption, I'm no lawyer, but my assumption, I feel the prosecution went for these type of charges.
Right.
To try to get as much as possible, knowing that, hey, if we don't prove this, at least we might be able to get 20 years total, right? So they proved that he was an abuser. They proved that he was controlling all those different deals. I know, but they proved that.
That's the crazy part. He wasn't charged with abuse.
The whole Rico, exactly. But the whole Rico thing and all that, it just wasn't enough to stick. So now I'm wondering, now that the judge has to set his sentencing, did they do this to where they shoot for the stars, knowing they're not going to get it, but at least enough information goes out to where the judge might say, 20 years prison, up for parole in 10. Because they're not letting him out. Right. They didn't let him out. For him to only have those two convictions, you're like, why wouldn't you have let him out? But if they only went at him for the domestic battery and all those things, that's what, 6 months community service?
So you're saying the trumped up charges? See, so what you're saying is that the conspiracy theorists that are out there saying they were trying to railroad him, they're doing this, and they're all these trumped up charges. You're saying, yeah, actually that's what it was, but here's why.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, they try to go, let's go for the maximum type of charges we can get to see if that helps us get something that sticks. But if they just went at him for domestic battery, even if he was found guilty,
right,
that's not years in prison. That's not locked up forever. That's not, locked up with no bail.
Right.
For that. So, what are you going to do?
Okay. When they finished narrowing all the charges down to make it easy for the jury, easier. I mean, you know better than I do about being on the jury and Iowa. Exactly what they trying to prove? Okay. There were 5 charges. He was acquitted on 3, only found guilty on 2. So Did he win in the end?
Well, I think anybody who's convicted of 5 charges and you only got found guilty of 2, you won. That's a win, right? But it all depends. Because now they got to figure out how much time is he going to serve. It could be anywhere from 51 months to 63 months in prison for this. And like, is it? Then you also got to ask yourself, okay, is that just?
Yeah.
Right? Are we doing it because they didn't prove the charges they wanted? So are we going to give this long sentence just as we're going to get you for something?
Right.
Type of thing.
That's true. By the way, that was very mean of you.
Mean?
Yes, 51 months. Just give us some years, man. What are you doing?
I was reading the article. That's how they wrote
it. I figured that's what it was. Like, 51 months.
The article.
Why did you say 4 to 5 years? What are you doing?
63 months. Yeah, that's just what it said. Well, because this sounds longer. 51 months sounds a lot longer than 4 years.
If anything we've learned about in 2025 is time is really relevant. Because it's July. It was just Happy New Year. Nuts. So, yeah, time is relevant.
I think that's because we're adults. Because when we were kids, time was fine. Now that we have jobs and responsibilities, it just flies by. Yeah. We're not in school. We're not looking for summer break. It's just everyone that tries to say time just flies. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's the same way it's been.
Well, okay, all right. The party pooper.
Same 24 hours we have this 2025 that we had in 1985. 24 hours. Nothing's changed.
Next thing you're going to tell me climate change isn't real.
Yeah, no, just saying.
Hey, appreciate everybody checking us out right now. Do us a favor, man. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button, whether you're watching this first as part of the regulars, one of our members, or if you're watching this later, part of the replay gang. Thank you very much. Hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. There was a little kerfuffle. I just wanted to find a way to use that word. Essence Festival was over the past weekend, right? Last weekend.
Yep.
And all I've been hearing since it happened was a lot of complaints. And some of those complaints have been all over the place. Prices have gone up too much. And that's everything. The eggs still haven't gone down, right? But then there were other complaints in there, especially by, okay, let's see if I have this one here. I just want to be able to put this up. Where is she?
Black American Heritage at Essence Fest. So it's night 1 or night 2, and there is a lot of complaints coming through, and the common consensus is the culture has shifted. It no longer feels like us. And honestly, that makes sense because the people in charge now do not value Black heritage.
The Essence Festival is specifically for Black Americans. We're welcoming of all communities, but why can't we get any shine or recognition or acknowledgement for what this festival was meant for? And it's no disrespect, once again, to...
Stop that real quick. Because the minute he says there's no disrespect, that means there's disrespect coming right behind that.
Right.
There's about to be some disrespect when you say, and no disrespect, stop it.
Yeah. That to me is just crazy.
Why?
Well, it's crazy for a couple different reasons. I get what Essence Fest was created for, but Essence Fest wants to make money.
Right.
And the businesses in New Orleans, whether black owned or not, want to make money. So if you look at 14% of the U.S. population is black people.
Right.
Right. The rest it's 340 million. Only 48 million are black.
Yeah.
If you're trying to make money, are you only going to target one group? No, you're going to have stuff that's a little bit for everybody. And I think Essence Festival offers that. New Orleans offers that. But if somebody was expecting to see a bunch of people only in dashikis and chanting and stuff like that.
Well, that's actually the problem. That's actually the problem that's happening, because I think a lot of the backlash is seeing more division within. I don't think it's about inclusion of other people of other races. It's it's this internal civil skin color war. It's the cultural war, right? Because they had Afro beats artists and they're highlighting Afro beats and Caribbean music, and okay, what happened? Let's see, it started 95, right? So it's been 30 years? 30 years of Essence Fest. And it's been huge. And all 30 years, I haven't been to one. So I'm speaking as somebody who's never been. But I've seen all the stuff from it. And I always hear about it. And people go and they have a great time. And this year is going to be different because everybody's affected this year, right?
Right.
And at the same time, I'm trying to understand what the issue is with the inclusion of the different cultures. Because the thing he was saying about no disrespect, he's like, no disrespect to the Africans, or and he says Caribbean. It's Caribbean, by the way. Get it right. If you're gonna say it, at least say it right. Because see, that's the problem. In the Caribbean, they start saying Caribbean because they've been Americanized. So see, okay, it goes both ways. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't understand why that is a thing too, because you can't say it's for black people, but only certain black people.
Right.
Not these black people because they're African, or not those black people.
Unless you're talking about specific acting.
Right. But the event and all that stuff is for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the whole goal. And if I was the organizer of the Essence Festival, I'm going to put on the Essence Festival the way it should be represented, but I'm going to market to everybody.
Okay, and they've tried that over the years, right? And I think here's what I think of it. It's that no matter what you do and no matter how great it is, people will find a reason to complain.
Of course.
Right? I mean, let's take, for instance, Bun B doing the rodeo, right? Black Heritage Night at the rodeo, at Houston Rodeo. Now, huge. But after he did it, when he was getting ready to do it this year, people are like, oh, why is it him again this year? Hold up. It was good. But the last 3 years were great, and it's only getting better. And who is he gonna bring this time? And there's always complaints, right? So same thing.
Yeah.
Remember when wasn't it Megan who did Essence Festival a couple of years ago, and people were complaining? I'm like, it can't always be Patti LaBelle, okay? It can't always be Gladys Knight. At some point, it's going to have to change. I mean, and you're talking about even black people are not a monolith, so it's not going to be just the old school R&B, but there's going to be, as you try to expand, because what happens after a while, the people go, man, it's always the same artist, it's always the same this. Mm-hmm. If there's going to be a festival of culture, you've got to show culture. And I think one of the big issues I did see, though, people were complaining about was some of the locals were not included as much as they have in the past.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that you can really see complaints in that?
Well, it all depends on the reason why. And that's the thing that we don't know. We don't know why not as many. What if the same amount of local bands were invited and 5 of them couldn't do it? Scheduling conflicts. Who knows, right? So I can't use that as some type of litmus test to say that Essence Festival has lost its history and lost its culture for what it's been in the past. But I can say that if you're going to have this type of event and you're going to try to get as many people as you want there. Mm-hmm. Old school artists don't draw the young people who blow money. Right. So if you get Lionel Richie, one of my fraternity brothers, get Lionel Richie to perform at Essence Festival. Great. A lot of old heads are going to go there, but it's the young ones that are stupid and spend money at these things. Right.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
But let's be real. We don't want Sexy Red at Essence Fest.
Oh, well, I'm just saying that's why you're going to get these other acts, Megan Stallion, all these other folks, to try to draw in that, that freshman, sophomore, and college group, as well as the 20s range. But if you just have old school artists, what's going to happen is black folks are going to dress to the nines. We'll pay for the hotel. We're going to sneak food and drinks into the venue. So we're not going to buy any of that.
Don't tell all the secrets, Jesus.
I'm just saying. So it's
That's
like
what the jacket's for, to hold the food.
The young people will do all that.
That's a good point. But, and here's the thing. Here's what disheartens me about this conversation, right? It's the fact that it just feels like infighting.
Yeah.
And when the family fights, nobody wins. Come on. Let's not get to that, because it's too easy. That is just too easy. And all it takes is one or two people to stoke the flame, and that thing just gets out of control, right? I mean, it's been 30 years. It's been successful. Instead of just the complaining, what's the solution? You and I always used to say this in college when people complain. Well, what's the solution? I don't know. Well, then shut up, right? And I think that's the issue. And it can't just be the same thing every year, because then you'll complain about that. The glass half full versus the glass half empty. Glass half empty, never satisfied. Now, one of the things that did show up that I think is a big issue was the fact that, okay, they had a new person running it, and that person also used to be with Target, right? And Target was a major sponsor for this year's Essence Festival. Well, there's been some sort of boycott due to Target and a number of other businesses who who've eliminated their DEI initiatives, right? And people are having an issue with that, because especially, I think it was in pink, right? And they're like, oh, look, no, just because you're trying to dull the colors to fool us. I'm like, they're not fooling you. You know the symbol. You know what the logo looks like. But is Essence Festival wrong for taking Target's money as a sponsor?
I'm not boycotting Target. So I can't say, did Target change some of their diversity and inclusion initiatives? Yes. And a lot of companies did. And personally, I think there's some positive to that, because I do think we were way far left on some things when it comes to DEI. Is DEI still important to me? 100%.
Right.
It is. And I think for some of these other companies, like a Target, it's still important. Just because those programs change, you just can't all of a sudden say that they're just forgetting about we don't know that, right? Especially on the inside. But they decided to sponsor the Essence Festival. No credit for that. They're putting dollars towards the black culture at the Essence Festival.
Not according to some of the people that went there. Even that same person we had up there, not to the black American culture.
Just saying, you can't have it both ways. But I think it's easy for us to make these judgments without really doing some critical thinking and researching to say, okay, does this make sense? Now, if you have your own issue with Target, you can't blame the Essence Festival because they don't agree with you.
Right.
That's not how it works. Right. But you're welcome to boycott Target if you want to. But don't get mad at the Essence Festival because Target was a sponsor.
And again, going back to this, I hate to see the infighting, because now the talk is, well, let's boycott the Essence. No!
There's not enough black people going to this event, so all the black people are going to not go to that event anymore. And we're going to teach them a lesson.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you do.
And at some point we've got to stop the fighting on it, man. I just hopefully to get it together. Again, I've never been, but I'm not a person who's jumping to go out of town to go to an event at times, right? I'm not that person always. So there are times I do, times I don't. I've just never gone to Essence Festival. And it's nothing against it. Nothing like, oh, well, I'm not going, not because it was in New Orleans, but so let's just keep it going. Let's see it get to 40 years, 50 years. Let's see it get to 60 years. We got to keep supporting it, but and voice the complaints and see if they make the changes. And that's all there is to it. If it's one thing that we can say good about Karens is they will complain. And, create some kind of change one way or another.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you saw this, right? But it just happened to roll across my timeline today. Let's see if you knew, okay? And this is interesting because it's our president with another president.
We want to work with the United States in peace and security within the region because we are committed to that. And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you in such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting.
Did he just say, "You speak so well"?
But here's the thing, it's like, where were you educated, first of all? Then, where'd you learn to speak English like that? For those who did not know, English is the official language of Liberia. But this just takes me back to when I first came to the States. I remember someone was like, "Oh, so where are you from again?" "Oh, I was born in St. Kitts, raised mostly in Montserrat." "Oh, okay. So what language do you speak?" "English." "Okay, but yeah, what language do you speak where you're from?" "English." "But what other language do you speak?" "English." Oh. And then they're like, "Oh, I was wondering why you speak so well."
Yeah, that's, are we surprised? Just at this point, are we surprised? But that is just insane. And, you speak such good English. Where did you learn that? How did you do that?
The bad thing about it is, you say, "Well, you're in America, speak English." And then when they do, how'd you learn to speak it so well?
Yeah. Well, I just love
Pick
that.
a battle.
Were you educated?
Yes.
No. I was president, but I had no book learning. This is all streets.
Well, to be fair, and Bush Jr.
Still went to college.
Yeah,
Still went to college.
Yeah, a lot of people went to college. They still didn't come out educated.
You get the piece of paper. Technically, you're educated.
Is a C educated?
Yes. Yeah, it is. So
I like how you're standing strong on that technicality.
Yeah, it is. You went to college, you're educated. But to ask a president of another nation, "Are you educated?" is to be insulting.
Well, yeah. But are you surprised?
No, not at all. Par for the course.
But you sent me something, and at first I was like, "Huh? What's the issue here?" And it was a woman who was on a first date.
Yeah.
And she had the guy there, and there was a complaint. She was trying to out him,
Right.
for something he said about her.
Yeah.
Can you explain to everybody what this is?
Yeah. So this woman is on this date with the guy, and she's trying to call him out because he's judging her because she's homeless. She lives in a motel. And his point was, "Hey, I'm not judging you. All I'm saying is you should told me that before, we get into this date. If you're living at a motel, maybe you got some other things going on that I don't want to be a part of." But she's trying to make it seem like he's wrong for judging her. And I'm just like, no, you're homeless. You shouldn't be on dating apps.
Why?
Figure out your situation. Or be honest, here's the deal. I'm in a motel. I don't have a place to stay. I'm looking for a good, strong man that's willing to put up with my bullshit and support me financially and get me out of this hellhole. Great. It gives him the power of choice. But I don't want to go on a date with somebody that's living out of a motel.
Oh, you've been on dating apps?
Yeah.
I haven't done dating apps. You've been on dating apps. You've been on different ones, the different profiles, all this other stuff. At what point do you see I'm clingy? I've got jealousy tendencies. I got a temper tantrum. All these things. When do you see all of those warning signs?
Well, it all depends, but I can tell a quick little story. We matched on the dating app, and messages back and forth seemed cool. Seemed she had a good personality. This is many, many years ago. And I was like, well, let's, meet up. And what I would normally do is, depending on where you live, let's pick a spot that's easier for you to travel to instead of making you come close to where I'm at, right? That's been always my move. And she told me that she's staying in such a motel. And I was just like,
Wait, is it you on this date?
like she's staying here. And I was like, what? And I'm just thinking, okay, well, maybe her house is getting renovated. She had to get a place. I was trying not to judge. And so I picked like a dive bar that she could easily, because I was like, it's a dive bar. So I'm not going to see anybody in there I know. And just in case she comes in looking like a hot mess. But talking to her, yeah, she's homeless, lives in a hotel. And I'm just like, yeah, no, it's not going to work.
Okay. I'll ask you this question for you that I was going to ask you for that dude you were talking about that started this conversation. Why didn't you ask the right questions? Why the hell are you in a motel?
Yeah, good point. I didn't. I didn't ask because I was trying, judgy. I was trying not to judge, but then also I'm like, I'm bored. I don't have anything else to do tonight. I can easily go meet this crazy person and maybe there'll be a story I can get out of it. That if one day I ever do a podcast, I have some content.
So, let's finish that story. Did you make it back to the motel?
No.
Since we know it was close by.
No. I think we had 2 beers and then it was like, well, I gotta get up in the morning. So great to meet you. All that, but no.
Okay, but how soon do you let someone know everything that's wrong? I mean, you go out on a first date. You're or even before the first date. Because his complaint was she should have said that from the get-go. She should have had it in her profile. When they started conversation, she should have said that. Why? Why do I have to tell you everything immediately when I don't know you yet?
That's important. I think if you're homeless, if you have kids, those are things you should talk about. Now, flip it around. Flip it around. If it was a dude that was homeless, going on a date with the woman and she finds out, she's going to be pissed.
No, she's going to still keep dating him, be mad with those other guys.
She's not.
Yes,
no,
we've seen it on Ready to Love.
You've watched way too much TV. You're basing this on TV. I'm talking real life. Please, replay gang, comment, and tell me, ladies, if you went on a first date with the man and found out he was homeless, living in a motel, and not because his house is getting renovated or anything like that, this is what he's at. Would you still continue to date him?
Did he lie about it, or did you just forget to ask the questions you needed to ask?
Well, she didn't quite lie. Eventually, she told him, and he was like, "Oh, and now he's not interested," and she's judging him for not being interested in her anymore.
I'm not mad at. I will say this: she's wrong for being mad at him judging her.
Right.
However, he can't be mad at her for not telling him that before they met up on the date. Well, if you didn't ask the proper questions, explain to me how it's the other person's fault. My motto coming up was always, if you ask, I'll answer. You may not like the answer, but if you ask the question, I will answer it. Now, if you don't, I may not tell you.
He should have probably asked some more questions. Yeah. But here's the other thing. And I don't always talk about people's looks, but she's not fine enough for me to deal with someone that's living in a
Really? Are we being that shallow?
No, it's not being shallow. It's just a fact.
Okay, so she's fine. It'll be okay.
Look at old boy. Remember the light-skinned dude who had the mugshot that went viral and all of a sudden he became a model?
Yeah.
Why? Because he looked good. When he got out of prison, he didn't have shit, but he got a contract.
But women gave him a chance.
Oh, they sure did because he got a contract. And he wasn't still homeless. He has a contract. He's modeling for money. Yes, they're going to date him. But not just if he was working at McDonald's out of prison, in between a halfway house.
Hey, no, they were all drooling over him while he was still in jail. So, yeah.
Yeah, of course. They were. That was a prison fantasy. Like, I just want to, have him take advantage of me and that's it. They weren't thinking, this is my future husband. This is my partner.
If it's one thing, and I'm not going to make it a blanket statement for all women, but feel like a lot of women feel like, oh, I can change him. The fixer up.
Yeah. No, I'm ladies, comment, tell Yonni, because I think I'm right. But you tell Yonni that no, there's certain things you can fix. He doesn't dress as much as I like, but I can change that. You can't fix homelessness. I mean, you can move him into your house, but that's a bad decision.
All of a sudden you got a squatter now.
Yeah, and now you got a squatter. This is my house.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah, I'm the captain now. I'm in charge.
Hey, bro, so rule 1, ask any question you have, ask it.
Right.
Rule 2, be prepared to answer any question you ask. Because there are so many things that people are going through, personal, health, that they don't reveal immediately. And they come up during conversation as they get to know someone better. So,
yeah. But if you're going through something, maybe you shouldn't. It depends on what you're going through, right? If you got COVID, be on a dating app, match, swipe, do what you want to do. But if you just, you got some, deathly illness that you just found out that you got, don't go on a dating app and try to start meeting people, and hold that information, because then what if they get into you and then they realize, oh, she only has 3 months.
Yeah, make that the best 3 months of her life.
Yeah, that's a movie. That's TV. It's not real. It's not real. I'm just saying, if you got to be in the right place. I think you should be in the right place to date. And especially what makes me really laugh at the story is the fact that it's a woman that was homeless. Because I think majority of times it's dudes who either don't have a solid place to stay, they're couch surfing. If they are getting a motel, it ain't a nice one. They don't have a job and they don't have a plan. They have nothing. But yet women will give some of those dudes a chance. And you shouldn't. In my Hey, you got to have a place. You got to have some stuff all together before we do this. Especially if you're like 19, 20, you get a pass. You figured it all out.
Right.
You start meeting dudes in their 30s and 40s that are living in a motel. No. And the woman in that video clip, she had to been in her 40s to 50s. And so you live in a motel. That means shit's gotten bad.
I'm about to say, it could just be a hard time. Are you saying if you're going through a rough patch in your life, you shouldn't date at all?
Right, I don't. I don't believe you should date.
Even if it's to take your mind off the other stuff?
No, then you can just hook up. But you don't have to date. I did that when I didn't have a job, 2006. No, 2009, when I was looking for work before I got the job at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
I had a period where I wasn't working, so I wasn't trying to get romantically involved with anybody.
Right.
But did I still want to be able to have connections with people? Yes,
Let's see
I did.
if I can still park the car in the garage.
Yeah, I did, but it was like it was kind of an understanding. This is what it is. But I'm not ready to do anything emotional because I don't have my life together right now. So I don't think you should date if you don't have your life together.
And she'd call you up, hey, Terrell, come give me some of that garden or pool boy energy.
And again, I think the only caveat is this doesn't apply to, I say 18 to 25.
Right.
You get a pass.
Okay.
At 26, you got to start figuring some stuff out. At some point, you're going to have to grow up. Now, you can still kind of have some fun and party, because I did that through late 20s and the 30s. But you start meeting a dude in their 40s that's living in a motel? No.
All right. And all I got to say is ask all the questions. If you have a question, ask it. The only bad question is the one not asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, we finally agree on something here. There we go.
I do, but maybe he didn't even know that she lived in a motel until they were at the date. So it's kind of too late now, because now I'm in front of you. And then now, obviously, you can't afford to pay for the meal. I got to pay for it, which you should I would always offer to pay, but still.
In his defense, the way she got on camera to do that, it's almost like, well, you can come back to my place. No, I'm good. That's probably where that all started, the rejection part of it. But yes, you can't be mad at her for not telling you if you didn't ask the right questions. That's all.
I ain't going back to your motel with bed bugs and shit. No. You want to come back to my motel? No. If you were telling me you're staying at the Hyatt, Marriott
where everybody
Courtyard,
enters from the outside.
Yeah, Marriott Courtyard, DoubleTree. We can get a couple of chocolate chip cookies, go up to the room. That's totally different. But you tell me motel? Yeah, I'm staying at the Best Western. Yeah, I can't. I'm out.
Well, we could go next door to the Western Sizzle and eat.
Yeah, no. Can't
Or the Huddle House.
Oh, Huddle House. Man, I ain't heard that in a long time.
Oh, yeah, you don't ever want to again either. All All right, so we've gotten through all the shows. Somebody's Son, Never Ever Met, Still Waiting on Ready to Love to Get Back. Is there a show we should be watching?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I flipped through a lot. I've been watching documentaries. I watched that Poop Cruise one, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going on a cruise anymore. I've done it once. I didn't really. It was great, but nothing I'd want to do again. But after watching that,
I told you. I told you.
Yeah.
As somebody who's never been on one, I'm like, yeah, y'all can have it. I'm good. I'll fly there. We're good. But you got some recommendations. What's the next show you want us to do? Let's do it together. I mean, we did the Ultimatum, Queer Love, and half didn't watch and just listened to the review. And it was still a great show. I still liked it. So we'll take your recommendations and we'll see if we can convince Terrell to do it. And don't say Love Island. He's already said no to that.
Yes, I've already said no to Love Island. It's not happening.
That means because it'll take a whole week just for us to catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not happening. It's too much. It's too much.
I'm Yonni Rude.
And I'm Just Terrell.
Make sure you follow us at Yonni Rude, at Just Terrell, and at the RGRT Pod.
Yeah, send us some of your random thoughts or some of the bullshit from the internet. We may talk about it on the show.
It's the Regular Guys Random Thoughts Podcast. Cheers.
Cheers.